How are you, Dozie Land? Happy Monday night. It's 8 p.m. Facebook, YouTube Live. Welcome aboard. You got the dialogue. You got Dozie himself. Dialogue with Dozie. We got an action-packed show for you tonight. News, sports, and entertainment. Got a novel concept going on doing the entertainment segment tonight. Glad that you hopped in. Listen, we like the days that we don't have to do this, but we want to remember several people tonight to start our show off. And we start off by remembering Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham was a United States Senator from the state of California, state of South Carolina. And we're going to talk more about him at the midway point. He evokes a lot of emotions on many sides, but we're going to, we're choosing as a dialogue tonight to at least honor his memory because he was a statesman. We'll talk more about the other side of him later. Also, I was made aware of the situation that had occurred in Mississippi on New Year's, not New Year's, the 4th of July, after the show ended the last Monday night. And I've been doing a deep dive into it. And tonight we want to honor the memory and pray for the family of Nolan Wells, who died under suspicious circumstances, to say the least, and we're going to honor him. And then a local loving spirit to so many of us, Deacon Levi Moore. You remember? You have a tendency to remember those people who were kind to you, but when you learn the legacy of that person, and they were kind to so many people on so many fronts, and positive, and sent positive vibes or looked out for them, that in the older terms, who spread love to them and cared for them. That's who Levi Moore was. I learned at his service that he had been a deacon at Mount Bethel since 1972. That was 2 years before I graduated high school, and we just celebrated a 50th reunion several years ago. And his service, he's the type of spirit that were he not a deacon, he would have still been a blessing to so many people. We remember and pray for his family. He left us about 2 years after his beloved Pat Moore transition was at that service, and we just honor the memory of Deacon Levi Moore, and we pray for him and his family. We pray for his family and the Mount Bethel Church family and the greater Fort Lauderdale community at large. What a beautiful soul he was. Okay, we're going to dive head deep into some of the news stories that have grabbed the headlines over the last week. Let me just say this: I have on last week. On last week, hello, Miss Linda. Hello, Curtis. How you doing, man? Text, tag, tell everybody that the dialogue is on. Commit to us tonight. We're doing entertainment, we're doing sports, and we're doing news. I'm not going to do a whole half an hour segment on news tonight. We'll probably split the sports before and after the break, because we've got a well-balanced show and we want you to enjoy it. Miss Linda, if you're trying to sign on, just go to the link, and it's just hit load more, and you'll see dialogue with Dozie, and then just go in there. If not, just call Madam Producer; she'll assist you in getting on. So we kick off the night show with what at this point we won't call it a murder, even though many of you all know that's what it's tantamount to. But we'll certainly call a killing in Houston. Last week, Lorenzo Arroyo, I want to make sure I phonetically broke that name down so I could try to say it correctly, who's a 52 Mexican national, had been in this nation for some 30 plus years, a hardworking citizen. And he was a victim of an ICE officer's bullets. We have a video, and we'll come back and talk about it on the other side.
I have family who have similar routines, so I don't know how I would react if the same thing happened to my family.
We don't supposed to be treated like that. Even if it's people that's right here that they call illegal. We humans. We supposed to be treated like humans.
So many of you possibly have seen the videos of the van chase where two unmarked black vans were following this brother, and he had three others in the vehicle with him as they were heading to work with him, where he had his own business, doing roofing and other type work. And I chose not to show those videos. I wanted, and then there were other videos that have been released from some of the other onlookers, and more videos are being released. And some people have videos, and they're afraid to show them because they're afraid of the government backlash, and so they're sharing them with Houston minority state representatives and local representatives in the city of Houston PD. As a police department, I have an affinity for. I went out there and accepted a job, and where I was working in Daytona, they made me. They basically give me a lateral promotion, and I ended up staying. One of the things I learned in my forays out to Harris County was that there's a significant Hispanic community there, peaceful, and in fact, the reason that I was brought into to apply for the position out there in the early 70s, the late 70s rather, and accepted the position in the early 80s, is because Houston police, a local law enforcement had forced a Hispanic brother to swim across the barrio, and their family sued the Houston PD. And part of the settlement with the Justice Department, that was when Justice Departments did work on behalf of people, and they were not weaponized by the current administration. They were, to change the culture, they had to hire, I think it was 2,000, maybe 5,000 officers from the outside to come in. And fortunately, I was one of those. The first time I was there, I was hired, and I went back and took the job while I was there. The job was offered to me in Central Florida. And then a couple of years later, I went back out there again and was definitely hired this time. But I said that to say this: I got a good sense of the makeup. I live in a community now. I live in South Florida with a high Hispanic population here. Population here is more Cuban and Puerto Rican, is from Orlando down. Out there was strictly Mexican. And one of the things about ICE is they discriminate within ethnic groups. They discriminate within ethnic groups. Here, and we're really praying and thanking God for all of these stays that they're giving to the TPS, even though weeks at a time, we'll take them, because we are afraid down here that once the backlash starts by ICE for Haitian individuals, they're going to attack anybody whose skin is dark complected. And so that's how Mr. Arroyo became a victim. He, as it turns out, was not the quote unquote immigrant that they were looking for. Nonetheless, they engaged him and shot and killed him. I had one graphic video that depicted right after the shooting, and they kind of bubbled him out, but you still saw him there bleeding. And it was a horrific scene. And one of the things that's happening is that the people that were in the van and gave a very different story to what the government said at first. It's the same playbook they used in Minnesota when they killed both of those American citizens. They had a narrative that said that those individuals that used their vehicles to weaponize their vehicles to attack them. None of the video evidence showed that. In this case, again, people are kind of holding on to evidence and getting it into the right hands so it does not come up missing, or that they don't become targeted by the federal government. This is 3 times now in less than 6 months that ICE is responsible for taking somebody's life. When this administration took over, they said they were going to get the worst. There were so many people that had been dumped in this country, gang members, murderers, drug dealers, all of those. The last we checked of those that they even have in custody, not even 10% of those people have any kind of record. I don't mean to say those people, not even 10% of those, the people that they have arrested of ethnic backgrounds, particularly Hispanic, have any kind of record. And so this time they've admitted that basically they killed an innocent man. He was in the process of getting his work status here in this nation, but had been here working for 30 years, paying taxes, and a successful. I could not bring myself to show the one with his son and the family standing there because that was tough for even me to look at. So one of the things they've done, they're not releasing any details. Hello, Miss Linda, which is their playbook. They don't release any details. And then what they do is they try to suppress the evidence. The brothers that were in the car with Mr. Arroyo heading to work that day many have been detained, and the one who wasn't has been threatened with being deported. And it's right out of the playbook. It's all to silence them from speaking against this horrific death. And I really did want you to see that this was a human being. The video we just showed ended with the man said, "We don't deserve this. We're human beings." You know what, Washington? Why don't y'all just stop it already? We basically stopped the immigration problem at the border. We all agreed that was a problem. Everything that has been done has basically made that a moot point. People in this nation, they're working, they're solid citizens. Why don't we just leave them alone? Because more and more of these incidents are going to occur. And unfortunately, when they occur, they're being covered up, they're being lied about. And the people who are pulling triggers are not being held accountable for taking human life, taking their lives, taking a person's life because they're illegally in this nation. Somehow that does not equate to me, particularly in an instance like this. This man was riding. He saw two black vans chasing him. And I understand it was an area where carjacking was prevalent. And he had no intention of stopping. And then they ended up shooting him, cornering him, shooting him, killing him, and then saying that he was attempting to run over one of the ICE agents. None of the witnesses say that the ICE agent was out of the vehicle in front of Mr. Arroyo's white van. Why don't we stop it already? We've had a silence of it after the Minnesota debacle. We've had a little peace. I'm praying that we have continuous peace down here. I'm praying that this guy in Tallahassee has enough juice with Washington to continue to hold them back, knowing that our Haitian brothers and sisters make up a large part of our workforce in the medical community down here. They make up a large part in the transportation industry and the airport industry. And just like the moratorium that they have used against the Hispanics, because the Cubans who vote prominently for this administration, so they have not had to know ICE coming in here and just abusing them. We're asking that this and praying that this does not happen to our Haitian brothers and sisters if the TPS eventually gets wiped out. So we want to remember this brother Lorenzo Arroyo and his family and keep them near and dear to our prayers. And just we applaud the Houston elected officials. That city has taken over the investigation. Of course, the federal governments, they're not going to give any evidence, but they're building their own case to prove his innocence. And hopefully somebody will sue the government and will bring those officers, maybe those local administration, local municipalities will bring the ICE agent who pulled this trigger. We probably don't even know which one did it. The feds won't even release that. But hopefully that person will be brought to justice, and this killing of our citizens and people who help make this country run, this will stop. Okay, so I'm kind of on a soapbox because I'm just really furious with what's going on. Secondly, Miss Linda, who is with us tonight, and hopefully she'll be able to come on at some point, called me last week right after we ended the show and asked me about Nolan Wells. I hadn't heard of him, hadn't heard of the tragedy involving him at that time, and I started then noticing more and more, and then purposely seeking that, and then NAN, the National Action Network, headed by Reverend Al Sharpton and Attorney Ben Crump, got involved. And when they got involved, they brought the parents to New York and interviewed them. And now I know we're going to get some answers. And here's the story, the backstory. Apparently, Nolan, on I think the 4th of July or that weekend at least, accompanied some of his white friends on what was a boating trip. Please correct me if I'm wrong. On a boating outing, and then the white fellas came. The white young men came back. Nolan was not a part of it. He was deemed as missing. One of them had taken his keys and his cell phone and left them on the other side of the island where they had gone on the boating trip. And then a couple of days later, he turns up mysteriously dead. And so Mississippi officials are now investigating. One of the boys, we understand, who was on that is the son of a prominent judge. So again, we're watching this case, that whatever happens, evidence is not suppressed. And if there's any measure of foul play, the culprits will be indeed brought to justice. Now, this incident has brought a lot of conversation in our communities, and I'm on the threshold of 70, and a lot of people in our community are saying we don't let our kids do overnighters. We don't allow our kids to go on dangerous trips like that. And I've had to kind of step in and take another side to it. And I guess from working in high school athletics, I know that this is a different day. And a lot of these kids are oblivious to the struggle that many in our age group or my generation experienced in the late 50s and the 60s on into the 70s. Those things that the Civil Rights Law and the Voting Rights Act of 1964 and 1965 kind of helped to wipe out. And the election of a black president and the re-election in 2008, 2012 kind of got us where we kind of became comfortable about some of these things. And so I just want to make sure that we don't put this family on a guilt trip because they allowed their son to participate in what should have been an innocent day of fun. Everybody else who went on that trip returned. It's highly unlikely that he just capsized off, that he just fell off the boat or something like this. So this was strange circumstances. It's looked at as a suspicious incident. Thank God for our celebrities who have stepped up. Colin Kaepernick is financing a second autopsy. He's financing an independent autopsy to be sure that nothing is missing. The state's autopsy, and Tyler Perry is paying for the funeral, and Byron Nelson and other celebrities have stepped in, and with this attention and Reverend Al Sharpton and Attorney Ben Crump, their involvement, that we would at least get to the end of this story. And again, I'm asking our community to back off of this family, stop accusing them of being too lax for allowing their son to go on a trip like this. These are new days. These kids don't know the struggle. They just know, hey, we know each other. We have a relationship with each other. We play ball. We eat together. We go out together. We do things together. And this was just another level of that. So we don't want to keep putting that on these parents in this instance. They've got enough grief to deal with. Also, what this brings to bear is that there have been many young black men and girls that have been reported missing all over the South. I didn't have the pull up the statistics, but this has been a growing trend, even right here in the state of Florida. And when they turn up, they're found in a backwoods somewhere hanging from a tree. So I think it is time for us to put on the caution, to put on our cautionary lens, and to travel together. And we don't want our ladies traveling at night by themselves and this kind of things. Our young ladies or our young men, if you can be together and have a group with you, because, so I didn't want to talk a whole lot about the administration, but we know that they have awakened the sleeping giant of racism, and it's back in the forefront. And as we saw demonstrated on the 4th of July, through the intimidation tactics, those were some of the tactics of the Ku Klux Klan that we remember. We don't want to put anybody's lives in jeopardy. In Maine, and I'm going to mention this because I want to tie it into the 2024 election. In Maine, Graham Plattner was a senatorial candidate, U.S. senator in that state, and he was ahead of Susan Collins, who is an independent. However, she caucuses a lot with Republicans, or she caucuses with Democrats, but she votes a lot with Republicans, and she has almost voted with this administration on all of the craziness, the big ugly bill, Supreme Court nominations. She's voted with them on all of these crucial issues. And Maine, the Democratic Party thought that they had come up with a candidate who was ready to remove her from office. And he had baggage, and it caught my attention. Anything that has any measure of prejudice gets my attention right off the bat, particularly during these seasons when racist people and prejudiced people against other groups feel emboldened. He had a Nazi tattoo on his shoulder, and that is often associated with white supremacists. And he had it taken off. He said, while one night as a service person, I think he was a Marine, he had that put on him and he didn't know it. And there were all kind of character things that were brought up about him. And because he was polling so strongly against Susan Collins, the party went along with him. Well, last week, as you know, two ladies came forward, and one of them was with a very compelling case that he had sexually assaulted her. He backed out of the race in a very defiant fashion, pointing at the National Democratic Party in DC and at the local party. And ultimately, he dropped out. So now Maine, unlike when President Biden bowed out at a short, because the Maine Democratic Party has to come up with a candidate by next Monday, I think is the deadline. They're going to a caucus. They're having a Democratic caucus to determine that who that nominee will be to face Susan Collins. And what it did was it awoke a lot of people who said that that's what the Democratic Party should have done when Joe Biden got out of the race. And I'm coming to stand strongly against that. And I hope you all hear me good. Kamala Harris was the vice president of the United States. Joe Biden said, if you want me to back out of the race, you're going to accept the person whom would have succeeded me had I not been able to carry on my duty, or had, unfortunately, if I had passed while in office. And with all of the hoopla and all of everything that's surrounding her, there's no reason that she did not win that election. You can't put it on that process. We admire Maine for their process, pivoting on maybe something they should have done earlier. They should not have maybe thrown so much support behind this very flawed candidate. But I'm very raw about them kind of trying to tie that in and saying that's what the Democratic Party should have done nationally when Joe Biden got out of the race. Kamala Harris was a very formidable candidate. She became vice president because she was a presidential candidate, and President Biden defeated her, but he saw enough in her, and she did nothing to prove that she could not carry the office of presidency. So that's where we are with some of this stuff. Let's go to break, and I want to talk a little bit more about Lindsey Graham during the break, and we'll be right back with you. Podcast, web building, all of your virtual needs, GoGiga X, they've got you. That's all I'm gonna say tonight. They got you. You gotta hook up with them and let them make you look good, because they do an incredible job of making a guy like me look presentable. All right, GoGiga X, give them a shout, okay? Thank you, GoGiga, for being our partners for these many years. For the outstanding services, the Two Toys and the Kias and that team offers to this franchise. We appreciate you and what you do. Blessings on your work. So I happen to been awake at about 2:30 in the morning on Sunday morning, and that happens a lot on Sunday mornings when I played sports, I coached sports as a younger person. When there were big games, I couldn't sleep at night. And of late, that's what's happening to me when I'm preparing to preach the next morning. I'm so excited, I guess, internally that I have a hard time getting off. I had not fallen asleep, and breaking news came through. And I thought that maybe they were going to say something about Mitch McConnell or about the war in Iran. Well, unfortunately, the surprising news came through that Senator Lindsey Graham had transitioned very unexpectedly. And let's please just leave him up through this. Upon his death, and Lindsey Graham was a complex character. It takes people like Senator Cory Booker to talk about the complexity of him as a man and as a politician. Yeah, apparently a good man, but a very flawed politician. Well, we knew he was very, very much against this administration in 2016. Then he kind of came into their web, and on January the 6th, he spoke very, very forcefully against them and what they had done to the Capitol. And then by the time it came to the impeachment vote, he got back down and bowed back down. Let's just say he bowed back down to the throne. And during this whole debacle of a presidency, he has supported the president. The only thing where he is quietly differing with him was the Russian-Ukrainian war. There have been a lot of people as they woke up on, because this was in the middle of the night, as they woke up in the morning and saw what happened, very eloquently spoke out against Lindsey Graham and said to us in many ways, we cannot deitize somebody for all of the hurt, the harm that they've done to people just because they have now died. I have looked at, some of the writing has been so eloquent that I've held on to it because it's been so powerfully presented. Jesse Jackson Jr., former Congressperson Jesse Jackson Jr., told what it was like to serve in Congress with Lindsey Graham, and he basically said the same thing that Cory Booker had stated. But he spoke about when his dad died, how Lindsey Graham tried his very best to get Mike Johnson, who is another lackey of this administration, but who happens to be the third most powerful person by Constitution in this republic, as the House, the Speaker of the House. He tried hard to get him to convince him to allow Reverend Jesse Jackson's remains to to lie in repose in the Capitol. So I don't know if I'm still with y'all or not. I've kind of lost. Okay, am I back, Madam Producer?
You are.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Can you share that back to my page if we have to, or is it automatically?
Still there. It didn't go off.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, nervously I'm touching. Lindsey Graham, Jesse Jackson Jr. told of how hard that he had pushed to get his dad in the his body to lie and state in the Capitol. And then he spoke of he was a guest of the House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries at the State of the Union address, and his family, and how they had gotten all the way to the front of the line, and they were turned back and told that they had to come in from the other side of the Capitol. And when Lindsey Graham saw them, he turned them and said, no, y'all follow me, and got them right in. So there were two sides to this individual. From what we understand, pretty much a decent man, but politically highly flawed. And character flaws are whenever you fail to stand on your own conviction. And apparently Lindsey, on many occasions, stood against Trump, but then, gosh, I didn't mean to call his name, but then backed down. So so I've seen on social media, I've seen both sides. And my thing is being up that time of morning, probably being one of the first people to post all over the world on Facebook, because as soon as I noticed it, I don't do that kind of stuff when I'm leading into a sermon, but I just I posted this picture and asked for the prayers for his family, friends, and constituents. But after seeing some tough things, one of our local state senators here spoke, without calling his name, spoke pretty powerfully against him. I came across a post, and I want to read it. I can read it in 30 seconds. And it's by a gentleman named Ramirez Hakeem. And he said these words, and I just want to leave this with you all. You make your own determination how to feel about this. But I think when a person dies, that's kind of a time if we can't say anything good about them, just say rest in peace or something like this. And this is what this says. It says, we are a society in decay, not because we disagree ferociously on issues, not because politics is an incredibly messy sport, but because we reached a point where some people actually celebrate when another human being dies. Charlie Kirk was murdered and people cheered. Bob Rayner was killed and people celebrated. The moral failure isn't owned by one group. It's been adopted by all sides of the aisle. It's been adopted by all sides of the aisle. Now, let her in, please. Now, Senator Lindsey Graham has passed away, and social media is once again filled with people making jokes, celebrating and acting as though the death of another person is some kind of a political victory. What have we become? We don't have to admire someone. You don't have to vote for them. You don't have to agree with a single position they ever took. But the first emotion you feel when you hear someone has died is joy. Politics isn't your biggest problem. Your rotting heart is. Some of you spend all day talking about morality, decency, and kindness until it's someone you dislike. Then suddenly compassion has an expiration date. Character isn't measured by how you treat the people you agree with. It's measured by how you treat the people you don't. Many of you simple-minded people are contributing to the decline of our society. Your kids are watching. Do better. I thought that was a pretty prolific piece that was authored by Ramirez Hakeem, and I just want to leave that. I just want to leave that there with us, and that certainly could have been stated during Charlie Kirk's death also. Okay, I got to make a plug for Faith in Florida. They're doing a candidates forum, Florida gubernatorial race, and just hit the barcode to register. You are required to register. It's virtual. It's on Zoom, and we're asking you to please join us. We have a number that we're targeted number. We're at least trying to reach, because these candidates, some of them would not come to any of our local forums, mainly because they wrote off certain counties in this state as being a wash. Byron Donald didn't even consider any of the live candidate forums that we had in Broward County or in South Palm Beach County, because he thought they were Democratic strongholds. What we want to do is have a real debate of the issues. Many of the senatorial candidates, the standing U.S. senator has not appeared to any in either of our communities. Granted, I live in what is a Democratic stronghold, but Democratic candidates are crossing over and going to candidates in West Florida and down on Southwest Florida and all of the Republican strongholds. So we're doing this virtually, and we hope you'll just sign on because you have to register, but it's on Zoom, and then you'll be texting in questions. There will be no direct confrontation of the candidates, and we have a target that we want to reach, and we're asking that you would be one of them. If you don't get the barcode, just hit me up later or hit GoGiga, and we'll make sure that you get the sign-on information. Okay. Now, I always do a democracy moment. Every forum I have to do a democracy moment and a Black History moment, because they've taken these things out of school. Maybe you notice that an appeals court stripped the state of Florida of its Gestapo way that they were trying to quiet college professors from speaking out against injustices and those kind of things by labeling it an anti-woke act. I'm sure they'll appeal it to the U.S. Supreme Court, and I'm sure that this U.S. Supreme Court will overturn that. But for now, in our state universities, professors are able to talk about how Black people have been harmed by how Black people have been harmed. Okay, I got it. I'm ready for whenever. How Black people have been harmed by these states and all over, like the Deep South. So, but what I've come out to say to you today is that elections have consequences. We have to work throughout our entire bloodline. I told a group of seniors this morning, it's one thing for your children, but the generations down that they may not have time or have the passion or have the story or have lived what you've lived, you've got to make sure all through your bloodline that everybody you know is registered to vote. When they become 16, they can pre-register so that they automatically are registered, they're rolled into the registration rolls of the Supervisor of Elections Office on their 18th birthday. We didn't have this during the Biden administration, or we didn't have this during the Obama administrations. Those were the closest two administrations to these two administrations of this one. No deaths. And President Obama deported more people than any president in modern history. No deaths. No altercations of this magnitude. People not dying in prison like they are now. Elections have consequences. This is happening because many of us stayed home during the elections. We can't let that happen again. We must learn this lesson. Listen, Black History moment for the day is Harriet Tubman. The Obama administration passed the Harriet Tubman $20 bill. Her face will replace President Andrew Jackson's on the front of the bill, and he would go to the back of the bill. He and the White House. Now, you know the history of Andrew Jackson. He was a Southerner who promoted what the South promoted. Harriet Tubman, as you know, a freedom fighter and led so many people to freedom during the antebellum and the slavery days. When she reached her old age, the government failed to compensate her. There was a widow's fund likened unto Social Security. And she never received hers until the last few months of her life. So one of the way the government was making that real was that the $20 bill would bear her picture. Well, guess what? 2016 came in, that project slowed down. When asked about it, the Secretary of the Treasury at that point said that we're moving to get through some obstacles to get it done. Well, we know they have no problem being disingenuous. Then this year, when during this term, when they were asked to where does it stand? Bring Ms. Linda on now. That's fine. Just bring her on now. When they were asked then to where did that stand? They said we have no plans to make a Harriet Tubman $20 bill. Now, it's the same Treasury Department that was ready, and I think still is ready, to make a unique $250 bill with Orange Madness picture on the front of it. We just want to throw this out that if seriousness and reality ever gets back in power, that we can, as people, push to get this $20 bill that had already passed through Congress, and that it can signify the first woman to ever face on paper currency in this nation. That's our Black History glimpse for this one. All right, we got a lot of stuff to try to do in a little time to do it. Ms. Linda, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm sorry we missed you doing that news segment, but we're gonna press on the sports, and man, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Then I'm gonna talk about some other issues here. Wow, we're really cutting it close. So we'll just make some cuts as we go. Let's talk about the best landing spot for LeBron James. The teams that we understand that are in serious contention for his services are the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Miami Heat, the Philadelphia 76ers, the Golden State Warriors, and on the outside, the Minnesota Timberwolves. You got an opinion on that, Miss Linda?
Yeah, I definitely don't want him to go back to Cleveland. So that's out. I'm kind of leaning toward Miami since my city is out. So yeah, I would lean against Miami or for Miami.
Madam Producer, play the video of what transpired 17 years ago, I think it was, when he was at a similar crossroads.
Jawaban untuk pertanyaan yang ingin diketahui semua orang. LeBron, apa keputusanmu? Musim gugur ini, kawan, ini sangat sulit. Musim gugur ini, saya akan membawa bakat saya ke South Beach dan bergabung dengan Miami Heat. Mengapa? Seperti yang saya katakan sebelumnya, saya merasa ini akan memberi saya kesempatan terbaik untuk menang dan menang selama beberapa tahun. Bukan hanya menang di musim reguler atau menang 5 pertandingan berturut-turut atau 3 pertandingan berturut-turut. Saya ingin bisa memenangkan kejuaraan dan saya merasa bisa bersaing.
So we apologize. That was not the video we had. Was a video of him making a decision with ESPN. I can't think of that guy's name, not Chris Fowler, but when he sat down with him to do the decision 17 years ago from the boys club there in outside of Cleveland. I'm with you. My 2 favorite landing spots would be for him to either go to Miami or Golden State. Miami could definitely be in competition for the Eastern Conference Championship and could probably raise a little sand in the championship if he was there. Golden State, it would just be a nice story because he would not be enough to push them over to get past Oklahoma City, who's coming back with the vengeance, nor Wembanyama down in San Antonio. So I'm like you. Cleveland would be almost a waste of time. It would
Right.
just be a nostalgia thing because they're not going to win nothing. I'm
Mm.
sorry. I don't have a whole lot of faith in James Harden when it comes to playoff basketball and that kind of stuff. Honestly, if winning a championship was his major objective, the Philadelphia 76ers would be a landing spot.
I think Philadelphia would be great spot for him. Again, only because he ain't coming to Houston. But I think Philadelphia would really be the best spot for him. That's my opinion.
Yeah. He's with the team that could win right away. People brought up, they say, well, it took a year of them when he came down here for waiting them to figure out the chemistry.
Right.
Well, Kawhi Leonard went to Toronto and won his first and only year there. So a good coach can mold them into, when you got talent like Tyrese Maxey and that young boy that they had last year, the rookie, and you got Jaylen Brown now, people are saying, well, who you can't trust? Joel Embiid. Well, Joel Embiid never needs to step on the court. You got enough firepower there to beat people right there. So
Right.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah, it's about the coaching though. It's all about the coaching because it doesn't take 6 years and all that. Your coach is sitting y'all down and saying, "Hey, listen, this is who we have. This is what's going to happen. All of you are equal. I don't care how good you are. If we don't put that in our head, the first 5 I put out there, all y'all equal. Let's go play the ball and let's win."
Well,
So, I mean, that's just my opinion. Who am I?
no. Well, maybe this doesn't give our audience a good segment because you and I are both in agreement on that.
But first,
I'm trying to borrow some time here. So I'm going to skip over the Kawhi Leonard thing. We'll talk about that and update that on next week. But I did want to talk about the other side of the business of being traded. Well, we got a video with the former Miami Heat players who were traded to Milwaukee for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Let's view that video and then let's update it.
Milwaukee! What's up, Bucks fans? It's Khalil Ware.
Bucks Country, what's going on? It's Hyman Hawkins Jr.
Tyler Hero here. Super excited to be back home, representing the city, the state. I'm excited to get there, get the season started, get rolling with you guys, especially with the crew that I rode in with.
Super excited to meet all the fans. Super excited to get in my uniform and start playing in front of you guys.
I can't wait to get started. I can't wait to touch down in Milwaukee. I'm out here in Vegas right now with the Summer League team.
Let's make something happen.
Bucks Country, let's ride.
Just meeting all the guys, meeting everybody. I'm super ecstatic. Once I get to Milwaukee, I can't wait to meet all you. Go Bucks.
Well, that video was recorded just hours before an altercation between Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero. Were you up on that, Ms. Linda?
I wasn't, and then I didn't even hear the video either. So
okay. Well, those were the Miami Heat players that were traded to the Bucks, and they were all out there in Vegas for the Summer League, and they were just basically saying how happy they would be to be in Milwaukee and kind of putting a good foot forward and trying to, just keep a good foot forward.
Yeah.
And I just want to portray the other side of the business. You cannot tell me getting traded from Miami, Florida to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I've lived near both. That's got to be the pits. The only place I could think of being traded to worse would be Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah. and I've worked in Milwaukee and the other side of my business a couple of times. I've shot a couple of movies over there too, and it is the pits.
Yes.
So why would you try so hard? And I would love to go to Milwaukee for what? For what? I mean, for what? For what? There's other teams.
Well, unfortunately, that's where Giannis was. Unfortunately for those fellas, that's where Giannis was, and they were part of the bounty it took to get him. We admire them for putting that good foot forward, but I would imagine that the first opportunity that they get to get out of there,
They out of there.
Yeah. With that little package of players, they can be somewhat much more competitive than they were last year with Giannis out and all of their talent being shipped out or either injured. But I just like to be competitive somewhere else. But just wanted to show the other side of the business. This is a business. Tyler Hero will later say in the paper that his family will remain in Miami. Of course he will. Who's going to live in Milwaukee where you can live in Miami?
Right.
But he and Bam got in an altercation shortly after cutting that because apparently he had been using a burner phone to clap back on the organization for choosing Bam over him, because the organization said we're not trading Bam under any circumstances, but Tyler Hero is available, and so while out there for the summer league, Bam approached him, and I guess he must have said something sick out the mouth, and Bam just popped him, and you probably won't see Tyler Hero on TV for a couple of days because his face is
messed up.
Is really messed up. So that's unfortunate that had to happen. But we have to understand that these are human beings. We see them play and marvel at their talent, but they're human beings nonetheless. Yes, I want to thank Go Giga for extending us 10 minutes to finish this program out tonight. Let's look at this video, and there's a lot of discussion with this, but we'll breeze to that.
To be honest, it's weird. It's weird. You play on the team with a guy for 9 years who I was fortunate enough to go to the finals with twice and win a championship and push each other to be the players that we are today.
Not just different team, that team.
Yeah, I ain't even say your name yet. But it's tough. You just kind of feel like you're going to be on the team with somebody because that's all you know. And then it's just like one day you find out that, they're no longer on your team anymore. Push each other to be the players that we are today.
Not just different team, that team.
So not that team. So Miss Linda, you familiar with the Tatum, the Jaylen Brown trade?
Yeah, well, yeah, Todd and Midnight try to keep me up with that stuff, but I was trying to look at it on the other so I can be up with you, but not really. So I'm gonna keep my mouth closed so I won't have to punch my grandson. And
you'll relate to this. Let me just give just a short backstory to this. Tatum and Brown were a duo that Boston had. And last year, a year before last, after Jason Tatum tore his Achilles tendon in the playoffs, they basically did a roster dump, a salary dump, because they thought that they would not be competitive, what is now last year. And lo and behold, Jaylen Brown kept them so competitive that they were the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference when the playoffs roll around. And they actually were upset by the Philadelphia 76ers, who had Joel Embiid, who was playing and then not playing. So there's no way that they should have beat them. And Tatum came back miraculously and played, but when it came to Game 7, he was unable to play. He was having calf difficulties, and that translates into that tearing that Achilles. So they lost. They were blown out in Game 7. And what Boston did was they dangled Jaylen Brown for Giannis Antetokounmpo. And when they didn't win that trade, then I guess they thought that he had the mentality that would not work well in the locker room after that. And Brad Stevens, the general manager, said that those two players took up 70% of the salary cap. And as a result, they needed some relief and they could bring in more players. So they traded him to Philadelphia, of all people, for Paul George, who basically a few $1 million less on the contract. So they did get salary. I mean, they did get several first-round picks and some first and second-round pick exchanges in the upcoming years. But they just minimize themselves, their opportunities to be competitive.
Let me ask you this question, Doc. So, but didn't Jaylen Brown? He's the one that negotiated his own. He don't have an agent. Am I correct?
I don't know if Jaylen Brown didn't have an agent or not.
Yeah, I think Jaden Brown, if I'm not mistaken, now y'all don't hold it against me, but if I'm not mistaken, Jaden Brown never went and got a agent. He did all his negotiating through the union. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's him.
Well,
And yeah, and which I thought was a great idea, because then that's telling me that he's up on his contracts and able to watch what's going on, because once you're with the union like that, the union is working for you, so for everything, your hospital, your benefits, everything. So if I'm not mistaken, you can double check it. I think it was him.
you know, he does not have
Have an agent.
a full-time agent.
Right.
So and he's hyper intelligent, very sharp.
That's it, yes, that's it.
He is a Muslim,
Right.
and the new ownership um, of the Boston Celtics has ties to Israel. I talked about that on last week. They have defense contracts with the nation of Israel, and some people have tied that into it. Brad Stevens has said that those two took up 70% of the salary cap, and he wanted to diversify those funds, and that's why the trade was made. But suffice it to say, Jason Tatum is he speaks out on his own. He was at one point highly looked at as the MVP, and I think
Right.
he in third. So he did that, carrying that team by himself and brought them to the second place. And they didn't do well in the playoffs, but so that's
See, I
just
think that's why they're having a hard time with him, because of what you already stated, that he's very intelligent and outspoken. And so why are you giving the agent all this money where you can go ahead and go with the union and let them, because they're working for you, and let them do whatever needs to be done like right away. So I think that's what I learned about Jaden Brown. Yeah, that's him. I kind of read up a little bit about him.
well, there was speculation and there was tension between he and Tatum, and that's why. And because Tatum was quiet during that whole process when Jaylen Brown was being sharp first for Giannis, and then after the Heat won out the Giannis sweepstakes, then they continued to shop him around and gave them to their number one competition. And so it just demonstrated their desire to just offload him. So that was the first thing that people had heard from Jason Tatum, kind of trying to dispel the union, trying to dispel the rumor that there was in fact tension between the two of them. Let me ask you this. Caitlin Clark, who was a true live superstar, this sister transcends color. She's a superstar. Actually, she reminds me of Larry Bird. Did you see what happened to her a few weeks ago? While she was down, basically taken to the ground. The WNBA, you know about that because I played against you. WNBA can be just as harsh in their hold as the NBA. While she was on the floor, one of the players put her knees into her neck, and it just kind of spelled the hate that's kind of spewed towards her. And a lot of people think that there's reverse racism directed towards her because she is a highly successful white female in that African American dominated league. And then it was further, and that thought was further enhanced when she became the 11th best guard voted in the All-Star voting by her peers. And have you followed any of that, or have you seen any of her career?
I've seen a little bit about her, but let me just say, she is like a Larry Bird to them. To them, she is a decent player. Now she could do some things and it's not called out, but when somebody do some things to her, of course, it's called out. So when you playing any type of sport, you got to protect yourself. And when I say protect yourself, you can't be running off to the mouth about different things and don't think something's gonna happen to you. And I don't mean nothing bad. I'm saying physical playing on the court. So you asking the wrong one about that one right there, because I wouldn't have put the knee to her, but I would have did some damage to her. I'm gonna just see it like that.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So we understand that we're having some difficulties with our Facebook feed. If you're watching on Facebook, well, you can't hear me, but switch over to YouTube. We're just about to get out of here. We're going to talk about the top 10 quarterbacks that they selected the other day. We'll do that next week. But I do want to just say the World Cup. I don't know if you're following. Linda, are any of the games out in Houston?
There were some games here in Houston, but I didn't go to any, nor did I follow up with any real games, just sit down and watch the games. And there's only one game that I was really, really disappointed in, but I'm sure the whole world was. But
You were disappointed. You called that. You wanted that outcome.
yeah.
That was America. Well, I'm not going to sit here and act like this, that I'm the biggest fan, even though I immensely enjoyed playing soccer in junior high school. But so it's boiled down to the top 4 teams in the world. And I can't quite see I know it's France. France is playing. I can't see the well, I know where I can get to the poster. I can't hardly see it. It's a little small.
For me too. That's old.
Yeah, let me call it out. They can see it online easily, but let me find it really quick. It's France and oh boy, if I can just find this. So I'm working. I'm trying to find it. It's France, and I don't know why I can't find that on Madam Producer's feed. Okay, maybe I need to go just a little bit more. It's no, I can't find it, so I'm not going to worry about it. So it's boiled down to France is in England and Egypt. I mean, Argentina and Brazil. No, it's Brazil and England and Argentina and England. No, it's England and France and then Brazil versus Argentina. And so it's predicted that it will end up being France, who has a very dominant team in the finals against Argentina, who Lionel Messi, who plays down here in Miami, plays for. And that's what people are expecting to see in the finals this weekend. So I just got to get that out. Well, I want to pivot real quick. Go Gig has been so kind to us. Want to see if we can get in and out of this, and we'll get out of here. Entertainment. Have you ever gone through the frustration of liking a TV program and then it getting canceled? And especially when it seems like it got canceled prematurely.
Yeah.
What's some of the programs that happened to for you?
Can I think of any right offhand?
You're not a TV-holic like I am, though.
I'm not, and I'm trying to think of some. I mean, I know there are some that, but right at the moment, I cannot announce.
Okay, so I'll help you. Since we're comparable in age, I think we're weeks apart or something like that. You like to make a big deal out of it. So Gunsmoke, which had a 20-year run, came to an amazing halt. Unexpected halt because the network CBS thought that Gunsmoke did not attract a younger viewing audience at that time. But a 20-year run exceeds almost anything. Law and Order, which had let's see, what's that? A 20-year run also got canceled kind of suddenly, and that left there. Because they wanted to run more primetime scripted programs to network. Then Family Matters, that you and I are like, they were part of that iconic. You remember TGIF?
Yeah.
Friday nights with Patrick Duffy and all of them. And it had a great run, and then it moved 1 year from ABC over to CBS, and it didn't quite click over there. And some of the more recent shows, and these are not shows that I watched, but I was aware of them, were the X-Files, Law and Order, Hawaii, and SWAT. Now we have a cousin that participated in SWAT, so that one hit home. But let me tell you some of the things that lead to TV programs being canceled. The first thing is low viewership and ratings. Lower viewership and ratings. when they and that kind of speaks for itself. And the demographic that most advertisers are looking for is that 18 to 49-year-old
Right,
demographic, because they're the ones gonna spend their money.
right,
You know
right.
all about that with advertising.
Yeah, yeah.
So the second thing is high production costs. High production costs. When the costs and especially those that use high special effects and period costumes, those kind of things, and got those A-list actors, when they kind of outweigh the ratings.
Their ratings, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the big variable, ratings in all of them. Other issues are executive regime changes, like what we see going on at CBS right now.
Yes.
And that's a radical change because the administration is involved. And then we'll talk more about that in a second. We talk about a particular TV program. But when they make those changes, they may say, we want to go in a different direction. This is a show that's not compatible with our ideology or something like that. And another thing, and you may kind of deal with this, contract expirations. After that third year, when that person becomes a big star, that third year, that contract's almost compatible with NBA and NFL players. That third year, that's a pivot time to renew a contract. And sometimes these stars feel a little big about their abilities, and they price themselves right off of TV.
But okay, so now I'm thinking about it. The person or the show that I would, and I'm a lot of talk show hosts and all that kind of stuff. I'm into that. That's when Sherry Shepherd. Now I was hurt and disappointed.
And I don't know why, because Sherry, from what I know, I haven't researched it specifically, she carried her ratings pretty well, I thought.
And that's why I was disappointed that they let her go just like that. And I know it has to be something in the contracts and all those people back there doing whatever they doing. It wasn't about her show because she had the views. So that was a big disappointment for me.
I'm gonna give you what I think may have attributed to her being, when we talk about another show in just a second. Mm-hmm. The last factor is controversy, when actors become controversial or
with each other. Yeah.
Yeah, so we saw that happen with one of the shows. They just snatched the plug.
Yeah,
they say it's not worth rehabbing. Some of the programs that I looked at a lot of lists, and I said, wait a minute, I don't know these shows, but let me look at some of the shows that I knew and I liked and that will pull. The first one was All-American Homecoming. And as I speak of All-American Homecoming, All-American is making its last season debut. I think it's a 2-hour special on right now. I see my recorder recording it. But All-American Homecoming was a spinoff and was very innovative. You can see one of the characters was a little different, but it created a super storyline. And they were told that they were coming to their last year, and just before the season started, the CW cut it. They said that their budget was too high, and another company was acquiring them, and they had to dump that salary in order to make that acquisition go through. So that was one of mine. Another one was Yellowstone. Did you look at Yellowstone, Ms. Linda?
No.
Oh,
I look at a lot of talk shows.
Yeah.
All of those, I don't.
So some of these were pandemic shows that I normally wouldn't have looked at, and somebody said, you got to check it out, because my wife made my behind stay in this house. I started looking and binging some shows and so forth, and my brother turned me on to Yellowstone, and it turned out to be a great show. Kevin Costner made a TV show, A Dynasty, and he was in the process. He had this series of kind of like similar time frontier shows called Was it called Frontiers? What was the name of the show? I can't even think of the name. Maybe it was called Frontiers. And the first episode, the first installment of it was horrific. But he had burned his bridges with Taylor Sheridan over at Yellowstone because he was trying to change the shooting schedule. And they ultimately took him off. They killed him off, which he begged them not to. He killed his character off, and it made it the last year. But Yellowstone had 2 spinoffs. Marshall's is doing fair in the ratings, but Dutton Ranch was Kevin Costner's daughter, Beth, and Beth is a female version of J.R. Ewing. Listen, you got to go back and look at
And look at it. Yeah, I'm
some
writing it
adult
down so I can
just to
go and
see
check it
her.
out.
She's awesome. So okay, so the third one was the Equalizer, and that's the one I want to talk to. And I think Sherry Shepherd was under that same ownership group, and it's and it had the Equalizer was highly successful. It brought in the ratings. It also had been approved allegedly for another year, and then when the administration took office, they wanted her out because she was a high supporter of Kamala Harris. So that show was cut. And so the whole thing over at CBS and CNN, the group bought both of those, and you can look for a whole conservative agenda. But as you know, 60 Minutes has been, they've lost their main stars, their producer and their main correspondent, Scott Pelley. And we're going to do a show on that because he did a live interview. So we think the orange factor had something to do.
Of course.
And
then, this is yours, so I don't want to say the wrong thing, but yeah, he was anyway. So go ahead. Yeah.
No. I just make I don't want to call his name because it just makes me mad. So I just stay away from it. But Empire was a show, and we listed one of the things when they say if somebody is controversial or something, it was limping on its last leg. And it was going to be the last year of that show. And you remember the whole controversy with Jesse Smollett?
Yeah.
That was why first they took his character off. And then I guess to even though the producer himself is same sex, I guess he felt that it was too much of a backlash from having removed Jesse from the cast that he just cut the whole upcoming season. And I was an avid watcher, but it had kind of run its course because its plots were getting ridiculous. But it had a good 4 or 5 year run. And then the last one is kind of an unknown show. It was It was one of those shows that I was told to look at during the pandemic. House, and it was called Imposters, and it was a funny. It was. I don't know if you remember Run Buddy Run back in the day.
I'm not as old as you, but Run Buddy Run.
Oh my God! Here we go.
But you know, God, I'm gonna have to at this time now. I could probably sit down a little bit and go back and watch some of these things. I'm not I'm unfortunately I'm an old rerun girl. You know, I like to go to sleep with laughter, so. I didn't catch this. And if I just tell you that I have never seen an episode of Empire, you probably shoot me through.
Oh my gosh.
Never.
Unbelievable. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, Imposters was this show where it was always action on the move. And one time it had the strangest plot twist like Scandal. But it was almost a comedy. But it always kept you on the going, and it ran 2 seasons, and I think it ran its course there. It was on Netflix, I think it was, and they dropped it because they said the second season. A lot of these shows don't come back on like in the day when we were growing up. You could depend on in the fall, my program will be back on. It'll take a summer break, but some of these programs sometimes don't come back on for a whole year and a half or whatever, and so. That's what was I think that's what kind of took Imposters out. Listen, Ms. Lynn, anything you want? I sure appreciate you hopping on with me tonight. And
I'm kind of sad that I didn't get on in the very beginning because that's really where my heart was in that segment for you. But
speak to it now.
So with Nolan and there's other kids such as him who went out in different swimming areas. I don't understand the swimming thing, but have lost their lives, and parents are still waiting on answers from what happened to their kids. And every time these stories hit, man, I try to make myself feel better about my situation, and then I learn these things, and they just take me right on back down. So We'll just have to do a show together in reference to losing our kids. How about that?
Let's commit to doing that.
Yeah, let's do that.
If you're willing, I definitely.
Yeah.
Let's commit to doing that. So let me just make this program note. The dialogue will be doing post shows the next 2 weeks because I'm going to be a participant in the gubernatorial forum that you saw us talk about. Then the following week on the 27th, it'll be the U.S. senatorial forum here from Florida. But sign on 8 p.m. We'll have some good shows, and there'll be recent shows that we have done since restarting the dialogue at the beginning of the year. And listen, so let's thank Ms. Linda. Thank you so much, and we will do that. We'll make that a very upcoming show. And
can I put one plug in?
Anything you got it.
Okay, so on July 23rd.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you will be on the Golden Square podcast. So it's 7:00 Central Time, and we're looking to converse about a lot of things. So who knows? We might could go into speaking in reference to what we're just talking about, but we need just more than 1 hour with each show because we're losing our kids left and right, and we have to do something about it. And as I spoke to you earlier, saying that you and I cannot do this alone, but we cannot give up either. So, I'm all for it. So y'all look for him on the 23rd, the Golden Square podcast.
I'm looking forward, and I know that even though we won't be able to put a tag on those retro shows to look for it, and I'll do my part on social media, and I'm excited about the invite, and thank you kindly. Looking forward on the 23rd. Joining you and Barry on the Golden Square, the rebooted and very highly energetic. I don't know if I can match y'all's energy, but I'll be there. And thank you.
Hey, you just show up. You'll be just fine.
Thank you. That's my sister, Ms. Linda Scott, and thank her for hopping on with us tonight. Now, Linda talked about Sherry Shepherd's show being canceled. This is the J. Hud show. We're going to go off the air with this one. And one of the reasons we think they're not so quick to cancel the J. Hud show is because she's got this unique thing called the Spirit Tunnel. And tonight we want to get out of here showing the Spirit Tunnel with J. Hud going through it herself. That's where her guests usually go on their way to the set. But she is in the Spirit Tunnel tonight. We'll see you.
J to the A to the U to the G. Season 4 to the love with our queen. J to the A to the U to the G. Season 4 to the love with our queen. J to the A to the U to the G. Season 4 to the love with our queen. J to the A to the U to the G. Season 4 to the love with our queen. J to the A to the U to the G. Season 4 to the love with our queen. J to the A to the U to the G. Season 4 to the love with our queen. J to the A to the U to the G. Season 4 to the love with our queen. J to the A to the U to the G. Season 4 to the love with our queen.
But y'all gotta get the video. Look at them.
With our queen. J to the A to the U to the G. Season 4 to the love with our queen.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Dialogue with Dozie. We love you. We out.
Good night.